Give me 1 minute, B. My volume's not working again. All right, bear with me, guys. Hold on. Bear with me, team. Bear with me. Hold on. Oh. Do, do, do.
Afternoon.
Right. See why this isn't working. Up. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. I just can't hear anyone. It's brilliant. When technology fails. Okay. Let me do it slightly differently.
Oh, that's not work.
Zoom. Right. Do, 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 do.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello.
I think
It's
we can all
afternoon
hear
here.
each other, but Jen can't hear us.
Oh, this could be
2
interesting.
minutes, guys. I'm going to go the old-fashioned way and dial in on the phone. Hopefully that will work.
What is Nick making?
Cooking.
He's giving us a cookery class.
Yeah.
You're right, Gemma.
Yeah, good, thanks. Managed to join for the first time this week.
Yay. No, I'm on every day. I need serious help. I need intense help.
Been watching them all back, so can see what's going on.
Nick, what are you making me?
Nigella's lemon chicken with ozo and vegetables.
Nice. I'll pop round and pick some up.
Yeah, I'll leave something outside.
The container.
Can't come inside.
2 meters distance, please.
2 meter distance.
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
PT, are we having our date night still?
Yeah.
Hiya, you're right.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are 11 participants in the meeting. This meeting is...
Can you hear us?
All right, guys.
All right,
Sorry,
guys. I've had to jump on the mobile.
Because for some reason, my laptop
doesn't want to work properly.
No, we can hear you.
Bear with me.
Bear with
Hold
me.
on.
Hold on.
Echoing.
Oh, is it echoing? Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Right.
Right.
Is that better?
Is that better?
No.
Two of you.
Your computer.
There we go. Try again.
That's better.
Yay! Sorry, guys. Complete technical fail. I don't know what's going on with my laptop. Just typical. Right. Okay. So, how's everyone feeling today? We all right?
Yeah.
Nice. Gemma's
Wicked.
joined us. Hey, Gemma.
Hello.
Thanks.
Right. So, we're not going to cover off loads today because obviously it's the weekend. So, I'm going to mute everyone quickly while we go through everything, just so that there's no background noise or anything like that. So, just to go through everything quickly, guys. So, one of the things that I've asked you to do this week was to write down our routine. How's everyone been finding that? Has everyone managed to get a day or half a day or so of their routine? Thumbs up, maybe, not sure. Nick's in the middle of his. Look at that. He's cooking. Nick's cooking. Love it. Nice. So hopefully we've taken a look at that. What I want you to try and do this weekend with your routine is just have a look at where you've got dead space. I know on the WhatsApp group, a few people were quite shocked at how much time they spend on social media. So just double check and find out kind of where you've got little gaps that is really complete dead time that you could use doing something else. So just have a review of your day and just find out in that day where you've got things that you potentially would be prepared to give up. So an hour of surfing social media, you may want to give that one up. I don't know, turn it down to like 10-minute slots. Just have a little think about in that routine what would work better for you. Does that make sense? Maybe not so sure. All right, cool. So hopefully as well today everyone should be getting to the point where we can kind of write down our little food journal. Nothing crazy, just roughly what we're eating, and of that food journal kind of just how we're feeling when we eat. So are you settled? Are you in a rush? Are you doing other things? Are you distracted? Those kind of things are what we ideally want to start noting down. It's not so much about what you're eating, it's about the situation and where you're at when you're eating, if that makes sense, like mentally where you're at, physically where you're at, just to see if we can find some patterns and trends in when we boredom eat versus when we overeat, or when we just don't eat because we're too busy. Does that make sense to everybody? No? Yeah? Thumbs up? Maybe? All right, cool. Thanks, guys. So weird with my phone, not the computer. So that's kind of where we're at. And then from a food perspective, guys, because it's the weekend, obviously Lisa brought it up yesterday about drink. I know it's the weekend. Everyone probably wants to have a couple of drinks. That's cool. Just be aware of what you're eating on the weekend, right? And how much you're eating on the weekend. I'm not saying be 100% good. I mentioned earlier in the week that consistency is the main important factor. So if we can stay 80% consistent, you're going to achieve goals regardless. So just be mindful of what you're eating. Still log it on the weekend because your eating habits may be very different on the weekend. Right now for everyone, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how my weekend goes because it may well feel like it's exactly the same as every other day at the moment, right? So some of you may not work at all and switch off. I'm coaching tomorrow's Big Sweat, so I know my day is going to be very similar because I'm still going to get up, I'm still going to do my normal routine, I'm going to coach, and then I'm probably going to follow up with some admin. So it'll be interesting to see if you do have a wildly different routine, how your food is in comparison to that. So if you're at home all day and you're not necessarily doing anything, are we boredom eating? Are we eating more just because we feel bored? And are we going for the bad snacks? So prepping is one of the things, right? Are we going for the easy to reach biscuits? I've tried to tell Darren now to hide the biscuits because he has too many in the house, but are we going for that versus, you know, making an omelette because it's perceived that that's going to take longer and much more effort? That's the kind of stuff to track and look out for on the weekend. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are we sure?
Yeah.
We're not sure. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to unmute everyone. I'm then going to mute my laptop. So give it a minute because otherwise there may be a little bit of an echo. Hi, Jamie. All right. So, guys, I don't want to set tons of stuff over the weekend because it is still the weekend, all right? So we're still going to enjoy it. But does anyone have any questions for me?
No.
Your hand up. No. That was a resounding no.
No. I'm having a date night tonight with PT, so she'll keep me in track.
Good. PT, keep him in check. Not too much gin.
No,
That's
he's
it.
like, he drinks gin too fast, so he's having beer. So he's having your intake on a Friday, and you Paul.
That's it. Only 4.
And we're making chicken fajitas tonight as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Go on then,
Loads
Fran,
of
what's up?
vegetables.
Jen, it's something trivial, but I've just sold my house, so I'm hitting the champagne tonight. Is champagne ready?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I said before, right? It's about just the 80-20 rule, Fran. It's a special occasion. You still got to be able to treat yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Congratulations, though, Fran.
Yay!
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else got any other questions?
Oh, someone's just clapped. How'd you do that on
That
there?
was clever.
Ah, look, Joe's gonna have to tell everyone now how
I'm
to
spending
do
my
it.
life on Zoom at the minute. Down on the reactions, and then it automatically disappears. So you can do a clap, or you can do a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh, look at everyone. Maybe we should have a regular weekly Zoom education call.
I'm glad I've educated the group on something small.
Yeah, man.
Paul's like, yes, this is me every session now.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Love it. Yes, B.
So it's just what we're supposed to be doing now is just double check the routine and stay consistent on the weekend.
Yeah, like the goal is to track whether or not the weekend's radically different, or just, you know, make sure that you can keep some of that consistency. So try not to go crazy with food. Like, so with date night is a great example, right? There's this risk of eating way more food than you normally would and drinking a little bit more than you normally would. So it's just making some smarter choices throughout the weekend, because what can tend to happen is everyone will be super, super good all through the week, and they will hit their calories and their macros perfectly, and then Saturday comes and all of a sudden it's, all right, I'm going to have a fry up for breakfast, I'm going to have a relatively healthy lunch, then I'm going to have a takeaway in the evening. By that point, you've almost undone a whole week's worth of hard work. It sounds nuts, but like a takeaway curry is in excess of 2,000 calories for one person. So it kind of, it's just a good way to track and try and keep yourself accountable for what you're doing during the week, rolling it into the weekend so that your hard work's not undone.
I'm impressed that you know what day it is.
Keep away from the takeaways.
I've got
Takeaways can bring coronavirus to your house.
Joe's got her hand up in the air.
I'm jumping in. What is the best takeaway to have then? Like, I mean, India, which curry is the least calorific?
No, no curry is good.
No, come on, every curry's good.
Keep away.
You can't, I'm sorry, it's the 80-20 rule. You can't deny me curry for my life.
You'll get Nick to deliver what he's cooking there.
I'll have Nick's chicken, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe butter chicken's out.
Like,
Nick, can you
the main
cook
thing
us
when
all?
you're gonna, when you order any type of takeaway is the portion control, right? Like, I'm a sucker for it. If you put food in front of me, I will eat everything in front of me. That's just how I've been brought up. It's more making sure that one of the good ways to do it with takeaway, there's no great takeaway. One of the studies I saw said like fried chicken and chips, that kind of takeaway is one of the better ones. But if you're going to have a curry, just don't serve all of it up in one go. Serve up a smaller portion size. Have that, give it 5 minutes. If you still genuinely feel hungry, then have some more. But the reason I say take 5 minutes, maybe eat a little bit slower as well, is it takes the brain a little while to actually catch up with the stomach to tell you when you're full. So you run that risk of overeating. So it's a really good way to take time when you eat, have a little bit of a laugh. If you've got your glass of G&T, PT, take a couple of sips of that in between. Just slow down when you eat a little bit more. That's one of the best ways, and you'll probably find you eat a much smaller portion size compared to what you normally would.
What about drinking a big glass of water before you eat?
Yeah, you can do that. Like it does trick the stomach into feeling fuller than it is. Like I wouldn't just down a glass of water because all sorts of indigestion might happen when you start eating. But definitely like having a drink and drinking in between mouthfuls of food and stuff like that, that makes a huge difference to telling your stomach when you're actually full. Most people, pretty much 80% of people will eat past full before they realise they're full. Which sounds a bit mad. Yes, Jamie.
So any little tricks now? So I'm doing all right. The kids' treats are always locked in the car at the moment anyway, because the boys will eat everything as soon as I get in the house. They're under lock and key, which is fine. So they're just getting their treats out. So everything in the house is good and I'm doing all right. I really struggle when I'm making the kids tea, when I'm tired, between say 6 and 8 o'clock. Whereas I literally, and I'm doing the dishes and there's food in front of me and I'm just eating and don't even know that I'm eating.
I'm the same.
Any tricks?
So one of the things to do, believe it or not, and it takes a little bit of getting used to doing, when you're around that kind of stuff, is literally just take a couple of minutes and ask if you genuinely want that food, right? Like genuinely question, say, am I actually hungry? Give it 3 or 4 minutes, and then if you still are, then have the food, obviously. But if not, and you've forgotten about it because you've gone off to do something else, so busy yourself doing something else, then the likelihood is you'll forget about that bit of food. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just the kitchen is just a red zone, and where they're all home and I'm cooking and washing the dishes, I'm in there a lot.
Maybe like, or it's something really simple, like read something online, like read an article or something while you're in the kitchen, like do something else. If you're not, because obviously when you're cooking, you're probably not going to eat at the same time. So if it's that you're waiting for the potatoes to boil or something like that, do something online, like grab your phone, read an article. One of the other things to do is just write something down, like journal some thoughts, like how you feel at that point, like why do you think you're hungry? Just little things like that will help distract you, but also help you realize if you are actually hungry.
Okay.
Has anyone else got questions? All I can see is Nick jumping up and down on the screen. What's up, Sean?
No, it's not so much a question, but I was going to say I realised this week I was trying to eat a bit more, obviously according to the nutritional guide, and sometimes I'd been slightly under eating the week before lunches, for example, and then that did exacerbate my snacking. So I have to get it right, because when I think you're sitting home and sit down a lot, you almost feel sick at lunchtime.
Oh, that's better.
Little all afternoon. So I was just saying it has helped this week, but it's quite a balance. Like yesterday, then I felt a bit not so great in the afternoon. I think the working from home dynamic, everybody's doing different things, but for me that can get quite stiff and stuck, and then you have to adapt. But yeah, it made it better this week. So actually eating a little bit more but healthier worked. Who would have thought?
Yeah, and the thing to remember as well is everyone's very different, right? So we're all going to have different routines. We all react differently to foods. We all have different previous experiences with foods, right? So everyone, the way nutrition will work for everyone will be very different. So I'll give you a great example. I pretty much fast until 11, 12 o'clock. Purely because if I eat too early, I'm going to eat right through until the point I go to bed. So for me, I will fast until 12 o'clock. Then I have my breakfast. But that's something personal to me. That's probably not going to work for everybody in the same way. So it's finding the balance of what works for you. And that's kind of what I'm here to help you guys with over the next 6 weeks. Getting into a good routine mentally, all of the other cool stuff we're going to do about recovery, sleep, all of that stuff, as well as how we get into some good nutritional habits, more so than anything, right? So things like with Jamie, with how you're always in the kitchen and around food, how do we help combat that kind of thing? Because that's going to be very different to what Bee's doing, because Bee's not cooking for a load of kids, I don't think anyway. So, you know, Bee's going to have a very different requirement for that.
For me.
Sure. I'm only cooking for my boyfriend, so and I don't have anything else to do.
I'm actually working in the kitchen, which doesn't help. So my home office is in the kitchen because I've nowhere else to be.
Oh,
so
no.
because it's such an uncomfortable chair as well, and a dining chair, I'm constantly getting up. And then when I'm up, I think, well, I might as well eat. It's horrible.
Yeah, my home gym is right by the kitchen, so every time I walk past, it's like, oh, shall I open the fridge? Don't do it.
At least you got a home gym. Make up for it.
Well, yeah, just one thing when I sold my house was like, I am having a home gym. And that's been a saving grace for me. But
what I've done in the past
with workout. Sorry, go for it, Nina.
Yeah, no, what I used to do was I'd weigh out my snacks for the morning and keep them in another corner of the kitchen, not near the fridge. So if I walked into the kitchen, I go and grab a few nuts and some grapes, but they'd all be weighed out first thing in the morning. And then if I came to the kitchen, my food corner would be further over there rather than over here with the fridge, if that makes sense. So it's like a mindset where you just sort of associate snacking away from the fridge, so you don't see all the food. I don't know if that helps anyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool idea. So,
Jen?
guys, this weekend,
Should you have your breakfast in the mornings, or does it not matter? I don't do breakfast.
It's down to your own personal thing, Paul. Like my breakfast isn't until like 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
that's when I first have my meal, about 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so I wouldn't class that as breakfast necessarily, but it is your first meal of the day, so it's your breakfast, right? So it's your routine. I wouldn't worry about timing specifically. I think I mentioned yesterday, like, timings of food are only really relevant if you're an elite athlete, right? And you're looking for
I'm elite.
Sorry, we're all elite athletes. I know that, but you know the guys that get paid, the guys that get paid to be athletes. We're not quite there yet, guys. But those guys, that's when meal frequency becomes more important. So do they have carbs before they train? Do they have it after they train? What type of training are they doing? That then gets a little bit more complex. But for us, it's just about getting into a good routine. And then we can, once we're into that, that's when you can start tweaking and making changes to your timings.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I'm not saying none of us are elite athletes, guys. We all are, obviously. We're just not paid for it, unfortunately. Yes, Mel.
If you're eating your breakfast at 12, when do you have the rest of your meals? Like lunch?
So I eat my dinner.
Meals?
Yeah. So my dinner's just a little bit later. So I tend to eat at like 7, half 7. Just because if I'm coaching a class, you know, that's not going to finish until 7 o'clock, or it's later in the evening. So I tend to eat a little bit later, but like lunch, sometimes I'll have lunch, sometimes I'll snack in between. It really just depends on the day, but I tend to always have 3 meals.
Right. Thank you.
Cool.
No worries. So guys, this weekend, just try and relax a little bit. Jot down what you can about how your weekend went and your routine, and don't stress too much. And then next week we'll have a little look at where we can find extra time for things like meal prep, because even though we're in lockdown, we can still meal prep. Lee actually messaged me today. He's got a ton of stuff he's already frozen, so he's done a ton of stuff this week already, homemade meals, and chucked them in the freezer pre-wrapped out. So we'll have a little chat next week about how we can do food prep, and how to make that a little bit easier for everyone. Yes, B.
Are we having chats tomorrow and Sunday as well, or just next on Monday?
No, it'll just be Monday to Friday.
Okay.
I love you guys, but I
Great
also
to
love my
us.
weekend.
What? You know
That's
what?
outrageous. Selfish.
And we all know PT is going to have a hangover.
Definitely.
The plan is, E-Dog and I, the plan is to do 9 o'clock Zoom tomorrow.
What? When was this?
Oh,
When was this?
well, you said it now. I expect
Beautiful.
You said it now. I
We had
expect
to
to see you
talk
on Big
about
Sweat.
this, Paul.
Outrageous.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
we-
no.
Well,
He
the
said,
now-
he actually said, let's do yoga, rest day yoga Saturday. Because
Oh, yeah, we did. I did say that. Okay.
Well, if I don't see you on stretch at 10, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm like so flexible. After yesterday's mobility class, I'm so flexible, unbelievable.
All right, guys. I am going to let you guys go. Enjoy your weekend. If you guys have got any questions, just drop them on the WhatsApp group or drop them to me on the My Coach app. I had a little blank then.
Can you
right.
add me to the WhatsApp group, please?
Yeah, I've just sent the link through, Melissa. So there's a link. You can just click on it. It'll add you straight away.
Have you sent
It's
my
on My
link as
Coach.
well? Because I haven't checked today.
I haven't.
I haven't
I
checked.
have indeed. Okay.
I don't have a
All
link.
right, guys.
I don't have a link.
In My Coach.
No.
I'll double check now. I'll resend it if not.
Thank you.
I just had mine today.
All right, cool, guys.
Thanks, Jen. Bye.
Have a good
See you
weekend.
later. You too, guys.
Bye, Jen. Have a
Bye.
nice weekend. Bye. Thank you.